Hello, everyone, and welcome to DigiVation IWD 2026 edition. IWD 2026. Its theme is Give to Gain. And basically, to encourage a mindset of generosity and collaboration. Emphasize the power of reciprocity and support. When people, organizations, and communities give generously, opportunities and support for women actually do increase. Giving a subtraction and multiplication, it has come to bear that we have given organizations and that gender, the men, we see that much will be done and much change of DigiVation network. This version is put together by DigiVation network. It's a tech media platform that inform and enlighten individuals and organizations on the positive use of technology. It shares lifestyle technology, business technology, and also it educates people on how to possibly use the internet. With me today, we'll be sharing views and insights on how women in technology ecosystem or the tech space can actually be more empowered beyond the previous charges that has been put forward. Today, we'll be having messages from Women in Information Technology. It's an interest group of Nigerian Computer Society. They will be sharing one or two insights. Also, Nigeria Internet Registration Association, NIRA, also World Wide Web Foundation. But before we go into that, we be having our keynote speech that will be presented by Ibe, a member of COCO, from NICOMSAT. That's the Nigerian Communications Satellite to this session. Okay, while we are waiting for the president of Nine Wits, that's the Women in Technology from the Nigerian Computer Society, I think we should just dive down to the next session. We have Madam Fatuma Sokuna Koka, we have Ashley Manuel, we have Chidera Anamichi, and we have Orameyi Aka. They will be panel session and sharing their insights and opinion on the panel topic, Future Females Safe and Inclusive Tech in a High-Speed Digital World. So we now move to the keynote session. We are waiting for Dr. Kemi to join us for our goodwill message. So, Madam Ibe Koko, I hope you are ready now. Okay, she is ready.
So I've been offline. Will that be me?
No, we need visuals. We need visuals. I just want to read out your profile now, then you get started. Okay. EBA member Ukoko, she's the head of sales and strategic operations and satellite, Nigerian Communications Satellite, Nichcomsat Limited. She holds, excuse me, sorry. She holds a first degree in electrical electronics engineering from the University of Port Harcourt, Rivers State, Nigeria. A undergraduate degree in in engineering business management from Warwick University, United Kingdom, and a post-space university, Strasbourg, France. In addition, she has undertaken numerous leadership training courses, communication, and language. She has pursued an active career in oil and gas sector, engineering, space business across Nigeria. Within the space sector, she started her career in 2004, gaining 22 years experience in satellite business. She has worked in various units: engineering, customer relations, business development, marketing, and pioneered the commencement of the first NICHCOMSAT regional business office in Lagos. She has established and generated profit for NICHCOMSAT. She has maintained Welcome, Madam Ibiye, to the session.
Good morning, Moji, and thank you very much for that introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues and distinguished guests. So you're all welcome to this session. It's really an honor to join you this morning. I'd like to thank DigiVation Network for creating this platform. You've been here all through these years, and I look up to you. You've been doing a very great job. So this year's theme, Give to Gain, as you coined it, access, unlock, and build the digital future, is not just a statement. It's a call to action. This year's theme, Give to Gain, um, reminds us of a simple but powerful truth that this digital future we are building will only be as strong, innovative, and transformative as the number of people we choose to include in it. There's a reality we must confront, which is that we are living in a time where technology is shaping everything: how we communicate, how we work, and how we solve problems. But beyond all this progress, one question remains: who is being included in this future? So, if you look at a global perspective, according to UNESCO, women make up just one third of researchers, only about 22% of AI professionals. In the tech workforce, when women represent less than one third globally. Now let's bring it home to Nigeria. Nigeria's population is almost evenly split, about 50% men and 50% women. So in terms of population, the talent is there. The potential is also equal. Yet, in this space, women up, up up to only about 17 to 22% of the tech workforce in Nigeria. Now let's look at it from a legislative angle. Only about 4.5% of the National Assembly in Nigeria are women. So in the country where women make up about 50% of the population, we have less than 5% occupying the legislative seats. Now let's look at governorship. We have 36 states of Nigeria plus FCT making 37. There is no elected female governor. So it is clear what the issue is. It's not about the population. If we look at the population, women are in numbers. So it's about the participation. So Give to Gain, this year's theme, is a strategy for transformation, and it has to be a deliberate transformation from all of us in this ecosystem. So if we're serious about shaping Nigeria's digital future, then Give to Gain must become our deliberate strategy. When we give access, we gain participation. When we unlock opportunities, we gain innovation. When we build inclusivity, we gain a stronger economy. So, number one, the foundation is access. Digital transformation begins with access. Millions of Nigerians, especially in underserved communities, are still excluded from the digital economy. Access is not just about connectivity, it's about giving opportunity. So we must expand broadband and satellite connectivity. We must reduce the cost of this access. We must prioritize schools, SMEs, and rural communities. And we must embed digital literacy along infrastructure. This is important because when you give access, you give people the ability to participate in this ecosystem. Now we move on to turning access into opportunity. Access alone is not enough. We must unlock the potential. So AI is shaping our future, but the simple truth is that we must reflect our current realities and so tailor Nigeria into the reality of the world. If the systems are built without diverse voices, they will only serve a fraction of the society. So, for example, if we're looking at a typical home, if a man designs a home versus a woman designing a home, there are differences in terms of things that the woman will ensure is built in the design, and there are things that the man will ensure is built in the design. I know one thing for sure women will make sure is that the kitchen has enough space, for example. So we must invest in local data and talent. We must support indigenous innovation. We need to ensure that women are not just users, but creators and leaders, which is why I gave the example of just a typical house. So we need to build trust. So now looking at cybersecurity, a digital economy without trust cannot thrive. So we must build a cybersecurity awareness, develop local expertise, and integrate security into every solution. Because when we give security, we give confidence to innovate and grow. So what is important is that we need to close this gap. We've identified the gap with the numbers and the percentages. So this is not about just women issue. It's an economic imperative. When women are excluded, innovation is limited, growth is slowed, and opportunities are lost. But when women gain, economies multiply. So to create the future, Nigeria as a country must move from being a consumer of technology to be a creator of solutions. So we must support startups and local innovation. We must strengthen policy and investment frameworks. We must foster partnerships across sectors. Because again, when we give platforms and support, we enable others to build. And when they build, the nation gains. So the power in this context is giving. So giving is not about giving money. Sometimes just mentoring one person makes all the difference because there's a multiplier effect. Sometimes again, sharing knowledge is just all we need. Opening a door or simply encouraging someone to believe that they belong. These actions create ripple effects because when you lift one person, you don't just change their life, you multiply impact. So this is a call to action. Today, I challenge all of us in this group and extensively women to ask ourselves, who can I support? Who can I mentor? Who can I create access for? Because the future we are building is not about individual success. It's about a collective progress. And in all, Nigeria, progress for Nigeria, and of course, the entire world as women. So, in closing, I'll say that a society cannot reach its full potential when half of its talent is left behind. A bird cannot fly with just one wing. We know the importance of having two wings to fly that bird. But when we give women access, opportunity, and a voice, we do not lose anything. What we gain as a nation is that there's more innovation, there's more resilience, and we're more prosperous. So let us continue to give as women. Let's give access to gain participation. Let's give knowledge to gain innovation. Let's give opportunities to gain transformation. Because the digital economy, because in this digital economy, the more we give, the more we gain together. So I'd like to thank everyone for listening, and together, let's make this work. Thank you and happy International Women's Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma, for that submission on your topic. The charge is loud and clear, very loud and clear. We need to take it upon ourselves, even as women, not to just be charging others or the institutions, but ourselves to also take actions as well. Like you mentioned, mentoring, granting access to those that actually need it. Thank you very much for that submission.
Thank you for having me.
Moving on, we are still waiting for Dr. Kemi to connect with us. Also, Madam Oyetola to connect with us, and the Web Foundation. But while we are waiting for them for their own contribution, I would like us to move to panel session if that's okay by the panelists, though we are quite ahead of time. But since they are ready, they are here, I think we should go ahead with the panel session. Um, Basically, like I mentioned earlier, the panel session is looking at future female safe and inclusive and we have our panelists. I present Mrs. Fatumata Sokana Koka, decades of experience in technology, financial services, technology. She held key leadership roles at global firms such as IBM and Microsoft, where she led public sector strategy and regional partner programs across. Former managing director of Soft Solutions Limited, she and current CEO of YG Holdings across emerging markets. Fatumata currently serves as chairman of the board of Credit Suisse Registry, Nigeria's Limited, a leading investment firm. She also holds a board position at NASD PLC and Bloom Bank Africa Liberia Limited. Her board work includes active participation and leadership on risk, strategy, governance committees with a focus on regulatory compliance, fintech innovation, ESG, empowerment in Liberia. She's a recognized voice in sustainable development, having chaired the board of Re-Energy Africa, which promotes clean energy access across the continent. Next, we have Oremi Aka. Oremi joined InterSwitch in 2002 and has since then been part of InterSwitch Limited. With over 22 years, she has performed several roles within the organization, including payment processing, cards business, and products officer in April 2016, following her stint as country manager for VAB International in Nigeria. She is alumnus of University of Cambridge in UK, an MBA holder from the George Bevan Graduate from the University of Benin. A member of the winning team at the 2011 Alt Case Challenge, largest international crowdsourcing competition, as Chief Customer Officer at InterSwitch Group with a focus including infrastructure-centric strategies across designs spanning Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Germany, while aligning these initiatives with corporate values and business goals of InterSwitch. She also has the distinction of serving as the first certified e-payment position, now S1 trainer in Africa, outside of Nigeria. Next up, we have she is an AI strategist that is building AI solutions for Africa, a seasoned veteran in leadership, social public relations, and administration, currently serving as the general manager of activities that span strategic planning, team management, team management, the application of emerging technologies like blockchain technology and artificial evolving landscape of technology solutions, coupled with background in social science and a master's degree in industry sociology from the Covenant University, has uniquely equipped her to bring experience and technology. Her leadership at Hyperspace has enabled the development of blockchain and AI-driven solutions that empowered individuals, organizations to achieve their goals. She is passionate about fostering innovation, driving digital literacy across diverse communities. Next up, we have Ashley Emmanuel. She is the co-founder of enabling Africa's digital transformation by building tech-focused talent and businesses. Ashley coordinated seminars to education, talent management, digital advisory, implementation services, and venture building. Ashley has 2 decades of experience delivering impact-focused work in locations. She started a career in management consulting before joining Semicolon. She is the CEO of Enhancing Financial Innovation and Access, inclusive finance in Nigeria through research, advocacy, capacity building, leading research and engagement on financial sector innovation in Nigeria, and oversaw the delivery of EFN INA's panelists to this session. Now, we are taking a look at the panel topic, Future Female. future female safe and inclusive tech in a high-speed digital world. Like previously mentioned, challenge is there, the charge is there. But most of the time, a lot of us concentrate on leadership capacity, which has always been the core of the discussion when it comes to gatherings of this sort. Women being actually involved in the development and design of the technologies we are using today. We are in the digital age, and technology, like we all know, evolves very fast. While technology offers enormous opportunities for empowerment, innovation, and economic participation, many women which we all know, digital exclusion, algorithm bias, and limited presentation in tech leadership and design. If digital vision must not only be users of these technologies, but also platforms shaping our digital world. This conversation will explore how we can build a safer, more inclusive digital ecosystem where women are protected, empowered, and empowered to this panel session. Now, my first question is on safety. The world is actually powered by AI right now and emerging technologies. But quite a number, most women are facing the biggest risk of online today through without consent, without their permission, or all these tech glasses being used to record them without their permission. That must change to make the digital space truly safe for women. Madam Fatima, can you respond to this first?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mochi. I think we still have someone in the back wanting to come up. I think it's Ore, um, asking to come from the backstage if you want to bring her up front.
Okay.
So, good morning again, everyone. Nice to be here, ladies. Appreciate the invitation. Well, I guess we need to start to put some things in context. We talk about AI sometimes like it just started. AI started way back in the 1900s when we started talking about machineries and automation. And then we went into networking. So AI is not something new. It's been around quite a while. It's just coming up front to the end user, where we're now being able, you and I as consumers, to use them. But everything that has gone into machine is what is churning out today. So AI is just a learning situation. So we have actually fed this machine over the years with information. And so the power of connectivity is now affording us to get that information readily. When I went to college, we had to do research. You had to go to the library. You had to go through the different newspapers when you're doing the research. You had to go through different publications. I don't know how many of us remember um, what was then the encyclopedia, where you got volumes each year until you completed those volumes. So when we talk about this AI, I don't want us to talk about it in an abstract. We need to understand that actually we as humans over decades have contributed. to AI. Okay, let's agree on that. The second part is I don't think it's women versus men when it comes to security on the internet. I believe that it's all of us, especially on the continent, and more so on the continent because what I'm calling now, our children are basically um, orphans, right? So they are the digital orphans because most of our parents are not cumbersome around technology. What it says, what it does, how it collects information on us, how it share information, we don't know. So our children are basically in the world of digital without parenting. So that should be our most concern as women, not so much of the other, because I think as an adult that agrees and writes, there's a lot of information out there for us. And we need to start to make sure that we, as technologists and that understand the word of digital, start to help our population understand what these things mean in their own vernacular. So when they're engaging with technology, they're engaging with it with knowledge, with information that is actually what I'll call it, that comprehends in their context. So it's one thing to explain to me about futuristic stuff because I've been in the technology field. It's another thing about telling that to maybe my grand aunt or my aunt or someone that have never engaged in technology. So I think the ownership is on us, whether you're female or male in the technology world, to educate, to give knowledge, to inform. And it's not whether it's a female or male. The second part is parenting. We need to help our parents that may not be technology, savvy, to understand what is in the hands of their child. This thing that we call smartphone. It's fun to say, oh, I have a birthday present for my 7 or 8 year old, and I'm giving them a phone. It's a nice gesture, but what does that mean for that child? What are you exposing them to, and what do you know about this device that you're handing them? Back in the day, we got bikes, we got doll babies, and play guns and BB guns. Our parents knew about those things and they could easily guide us around that. Today, we don't have that. So I think from your question, I hope I have put it in context. AI is not a stranger to us. It's been here quite a while. It's how we use it and how we apply it that matters. On the continent, we need to make sure that the protocols and the governance and how we want our population to engage with AI are structured around our values and our morals and our traditions. So it doesn't dilute us or dilute our values or our traditions or cultures. Thank you. Can you hear me? The
Moji, I think you're
network.
muted.
Muji, hello? Muji, can
We
you hear
can hear you,
me?
Fatimata. I think she's muted.
Okay, good. Okay, good. I hope I didn't lose you all because it seemed like the network was like fluctuating.
I heard
Oh,
everything
no,
very
not
well.
at all.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for that submission. I don't know, Madam Oremi, do you have anything to add to this, your submission on safety?
Hello, everyone. Just to confirm, you can hear me.
Yes.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Lovely to be here. Fatimata, lovely to be on the same panel with you. I think Ashley was also in the backstage, and I think you want to bring her up. Thanks for bringing that on my behalf. All right, so to add to something about safety, I just want to speak personally about what she said about the mobile phone for children. I have three men, two men and a teenager. That's how I'll say it. And I did, and just to say, like Fatu said, my children, when they were growing up, getting a smartphone or whatever was a smartphone at the time, By the age of 10, they did. But with my last, I did an experiment and we decided to delay. He's currently 13. He doesn't have a smartphone. And one thing I can tell is I have seen a lot more in his cognitive focus than, I mean, the elder brothers are smart, sharp, but a lot more distraction, a lot more focus on reading. He's a massive reader. He's a researcher. He does a lot of things that, maybe if he had a mobile phone, he would not be doing. So I'm not saying mobile phones are bad. I'm just saying that for children, if they are not well channel, they can be a distraction. I also agree when she said that AI has been here, for donkey years. It's just coming forward to the user's control right now. So those are the two things I'll contribute at this time. Thank you.
Okay. I don't know. Ashley, what do you have to say to this?
Hi, thanks very much for having me, and pleasure to be here with these co-panelists. Good to see both of you. I think that they've covered a lot. Maybe one thing I would add in terms of the question around what needs to happen to make digital spaces safe. I think that there's a conversation around ethics, standards, and governance, and a lot of like emerging and evolving digital technologies. They're being created by corporates, right? Corporate entities. Even OpenAI, which was established initially as a nonprofit for the good of humanity, once it raised private capital, is going through that process of pivoting. So the corporates have created products to make money. Their incentive, their commercial incentive tends to be around engagement and use. And that doesn't always align with the human incentive. So for example, a lot of the apps are designed to be kind of addictive, to keep users engaged, even if it's not really optimal for our health. There can be some incentives if you look at social media around amplifying voices that drive engagement, but not necessarily healthy discourse, not necessarily kind and respectful engagement. Sometimes even the more exploitative or scandalous content can sort of be incentivized by these algorithms. So I think that there's a broader question around really what ethical conversations do we need to have? Who needs to be in the room for these decision makers? How do we do that? And given that a lot of the decisions are being made by commercial entities, how do we? It might need to be. It would need to be industry as well as maybe not industry led, but industry will need to be actively engaged in that process. It might be difficult to just enforce standards from outside, particularly given that these technologies are deployed globally and cut across a lot of different kind of government and regulatory jurisdictions.
Yeah, thank you very much for that submission on the question on safety. Chidera, what's your contribution to the question on safety?
Okay, hello everyone. Good morning. Just to confirm, am I audible enough? Can you hear
Yes.
Yes,
me?
you are.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Distinguished guests. I'd like to say it's a pleasure and an honor to be here, and I'd like to also say a big thank you to the organizers of the event. So my contribution to the question in terms of safety around women, of course, we can't talk about safety without the government, because the government are the huge regulators. So they're the ones that would really have the power to kind of curb certain, I'd say, downsides of these emerging technologies. So I'd say, take for example, there was a time online where a female came up and there were discussions around her being with some other guy and she being with some other guy. So the picture here was that a guy used her picture to create a deepfake picture. So we're in the era where you can literally generate anything, AI generated contents, and I think those are the risks, are the concerns around women's safety and women data privacy. So I think the government has a huge role to play in terms of making sure there are adequate laws and regulations around such issues. And then going out of the government, I feel like we also, as women, should also beef ourselves with the right knowledge to know how to kind of like interact with our data. So you have to understand how to use your data online on social media, where to, what websites to click, which websites to go to, what apps to check, what passwords, your passwords, putting your passwords on vague websites. So we also have to have that independent knowledge on where to use our data, how to use our data in order to kind of protect our environment, protect ourselves against the downsides of what people can use the technologies to do. So we have people creating deep fakes of people. There are certain concerns of people just having to debunk certain videos or certain pictures or certain things about themselves online. So those are the issues, and I believe with the right policies, as the technology keeps evolving, the right policies and regulations will help to kind of curb those issues. Another thing I would say is, in terms of the developers, the builders of these solutions, they also have to kind of create a safe environment for people. So while people are using these chatbots to interact, while people are using ChatGPT and these AI models to interact, there has to be like some kind of conviction that their data is like private. It's not going to be released to some government to use for nefarious uses. Like I think recently Anthropic came online and said they refused a partnership with the US government where they wanted to use Anthropic to as like a tool to keep track of people or like get data from people, and they flat out refused the partnership with the US government. And that for me was a huge role that Anthropic played in protecting the customers, the end users, people using their platform. They said that the platform wasn't really for people using it to like spy on people or get people's data without them knowing, because you don't know where your data is. You're just interacting with this chatbot. So they refused the partnership, and I believe those are the steps that these AI developers, AI builders can also like these are the things they can do in order to protect people's data, people's content, and what you might have. So I think those are the points. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
We can
okay,
hear
perfect.
you.
All right.
But
Um,
she might be on mute.
Thank you, everyone, on the contribution. Critically, you guys mentioned key takeaways from this first question. We need to take ownership, whether we are male or female. And as parents, we also need to step up the parenting style, which means we need to evolve the parenting style for a digital age. And ethically, we need to also step up on that. And governments are charged to step up with respect to policy And for the platforms, they need to step up on creating a safe environment for the users. My next question to you guys is, we all know percentage of women actually use technology, though not as much as men, but quite large. Yet, quite a number of them, if you go to a lot of tech companies and you go to their design teams, a lot of them, quite a number of them, the number of some you will know is very represented. How can we have diverse teams on these tech products and inclusiveness on these platforms? What do you have to say with respect to this?
Okay. So I think we can just take from what we've learned from other sectors, right? Think about engineering. We started, a lot of us as women, we were not engineering focused. And then over the years, women became part of the engineering story. And we see, I mean, even for pilots, I remember when I was a young girl, um, which was not so long ago, by the way. We were thinking about, who would be the first pilot, who would be the first woman astronaut. But now we see more of that. So there was an effort to encourage the non-traditional, if you will, thinking. Because traditionally, back in the day, most of the pipeline that we had were coming from support. So we had our mothers as secretaries, as accountants, maybe at the time, maybe not a CPA, but a bookkeeper. So we've moved, our societies in the place where we're balancing sectors with the genders. So we're seeing more and more of that. So I think with the STEM program that we see a lot of women now being encouraged to get into the sciences, technology, engineering, math. I mean, back in the day, my mother-in-law was a mathematician, and that was like an odd situation. Um, so now we're seeing more people, more and more ladies and girls being encouraged to go in that way, which we should continue doing. We should continue also making sure that we have a good pipeline, because in order for you to bubble up to the top, you should have a lot going on the basics. So not every woman will be at the table. Not every woman will be the head of a company. But the more we get more qualified in those different functions, the more we can then bubble up into the likes of the architect, the engineering, the strategy. I am on the strategy side. I have not coded in my life, but I can tell all of those that coding exactly what we need and how we want to run the business. So you need more people on the strategy side as well. So we need to encourage our young women. We need to encourage our daughters. We need to encourage our sisters and our cousins that are female as well to participate, so that way we can we can move more of us into the area of now exposing ourselves to the leadership side. Now, with that said, I think there's a take that we can also look at from the parenting style, and I'm speaking from an African perspective. We are set in our ways as parents. We've been taught that there's certain roles, and therefore we're going to insist that our children follow those things. We need to change our way of I guess prioritizing as Africans. What is it that our children should do? Lawyer, engineer, or doctor. Outside of that, you're wasting my money. We're now needing to move away from that and start to really encourage our children to get into technology, to get into the different part of the value chain. And technology does not stop at, oh, we're going to create a app. There's the strategy around it. There's the architecture that goes into it. There's the go-to-market that goes to it. There is the usability that goes into it. There's the financing that goes into it. So there's different parts of technology that we can all, different parts of the technology that we women can participate in. So I think it's good for us as parents, and I'll keep go back to parents, because the reason I'm saying this, ladies, I don't know if you heard about the case that just got won by a family in California, where the daughter was a teenager and got hooked on, I think, Instagram or YouTube, and the parent, and she sued the company because she got addicted to technology when she was a kid. And it really have brought a lot of things up in me as a parent. Like, at what point do we as parents become, parents? Parent our children to get them ready for the world, to make sure that our parenting is solid enough for them to be able to make the right decisions, and not give it to a tech company, or give it to the government, or give it to whoever else that is out there. We have these children. It is our responsibility for the next future to make sure that our children are productive, critical thinkers, able to make decisions that make sense for sustainability. So I guess today I'm going to be on parenting. Thank you very much.
Ashley, having diverse teams for these tech platforms and products, what do you have to say to that?
Thank you. I think that so basically the question is, how do we get more women into tech, particularly into decision-making and leadership roles or influential positions? And there are so many reasons why we see an underrepresentation of women globally. But I will speak to a few, and I'll categorize it in two ways. I think one is looking at social norms and culture. And Fatimata spoke to some of this, so I won't repeat what she's covered. But I think that so at Semicolon, we train, one of the things we do is we train software engineers. And it's hard work, but we have very high success rates. So if a young person comes through our program and does the work, they're set on a very strong opportunity pathway. They work as engineers, they can be promoted, they can have very strong and fulfilling careers. We have always worked to get a stronger balance of women versus men in the program, and it's always been a struggle. And we see fewer women apply. Women are more likely to drop out during the application process. Women are more likely to be discouraged by friends and family members, etc. And some of the social dynamics that affect this. Number one, a lot of women are encouraged from childhood and adolescence to prioritize maybe family and parenting responsibilities and marriage over career. So while a girl is being told, prepare, think about, make your life plans, planning to get married and raise children and so forth, her brother is told, you need to go out and be the breadwinner and be successful. So a lot of families will encourage the brother, the boy in the household, to pursue a track like software engineering. And some of them actually discourage their daughters from doing careers like that, because They realize that those careers are demanding, that they require several years of investment in studying and upskilling before they bear return on investment, and so forth. Women globally, and especially in Nigeria and in Africa, tend to have significantly more domestic responsibilities. So they're thinking about balancing career and family. They're thinking about, they're making career choices in prioritizing flexibility often because that's the reality of their work. We also see still some persistent stereotypes that women are less capable of doing sustained, difficult mental work. So, and when that's out there, both men and women, if they're taught that, they may believe that. So sometimes women will think, oh, I can't do this, it's not for me. So those are just some of the reasons. There are many others in terms of social norms. We can also look at structures, including workplace structures. So nobody really intends it, but when you have a certain group of people creating an institution, and in this case, we can talk about white collar work, it tends to be built structurally around that group of people. So an example would be in our training academy, the building has stairs. Nobody intended to discriminate against people who have mobility challenges and can't climb stairs, but they just designed for the typical person that came to mind for them, and that those were people who could easily climb stairs, right? We see the same thing when you look at gender in the workplace. So for example, when I started my career, I was consulting for a large global firm. If I traveled for work, the company would pay for my food. The company might pay for my laundry if I was away from home for a few days. I've never seen a company pay for childcare. Right? Why? Childcare is actually the thing you kind of need most if you're going to be traveling and away from home for several days. But it's just because when those workplaces and policies were established, it was mostly men doing those jobs and doing that travel. And they tended to have a wife at home who was already taking care of the kids. So nobody ever really needed to build childcare into those expense policies, right? So, and we see a lot of other things. Work schedules don't tend to match school schedules. The full-time, quote, 40-hour work week, the way that that aligns with other domestic responsibilities, even the way we think about leave, the way that a woman who's maybe has severe menstrual cramps and can't come is just has her work disrupted for a few days a month might feel the pressure to hide that, right? So there are many things, dynamics like that happening. And what happens is that all of this sort of adds up, and we just end up seeing the result, which is that we don't have as many women in leadership roles generally in companies, but we also have fewer women in the tech sector. So you see a very small representation of women in leadership or decision-making roles in tech. So really the answer is we have a lot of things we need to relook, and it will take time. As Fatoumata said, even rethinking parenting is part of it, right? That's where a lot of those cultural norms are established. But we can also think about deliberate programs. And for those of us who are leading companies, for example, we can think about how we're structuring our workplaces to make them more kind of accommodating, or to better suit women in as employees, and especially as they rise into leadership roles.
Okay, thank you, Ashley, for that submission. I can't wait to hear what Madam Remy has to say on this question. I'm looking forward because I know our journey at InterSwitch, so I'm so excited to hear a submission on this.
Okay, hello everyone, and thank you. Fatu said today we are on parenting, and I agree. I think that's actually the foundation of any change you want to make. If you make the right changes from the parenting level, from the family, then you will succeed in the society. So that's a good place to be. That's why I am on that platform with you. Thank you so much, Ashley. You went. I mean, I was inspired when you mentioned how people travel and they'll pay allowances, but they don't pay for childcare, and it's true. And I'm going to mention that to my HR because our HR at Institute we try to be quite gender balanced, because we believe in equity. And so thanks for raising that. And indeed, the women tend to be the ones that have to balance the home front, work plus societal expectation. And when it comes to technology courses, so I studied engineering in my class. I studied in Nigeria at the time. We're 150. We're only four ladies in my class, And so I remember we're picking projects. They'll say, "Oh, give the easy projects to the girls," and they'll be, "Why do you want to do the more difficult ones? You don't have to. You may not even use your degree, So there's that mindset that was, and even though now people are a lot more enlightened, information is a lot more. People mindsets are changing, but there's still a lot of ingrained stereotypes in our systems, and it's not just in Africa, it's global, right? Although sometimes it may be more pronounced in our environment because of certain factors. But just to speak about, again, to contribute my own perspective on how and okay, why we see, how we can deal with women making up a larger percentage, or just basically how can we encourage and reduce the underrepresentation. As I said, first it starts from home. We need to start early. We need to actually now technology is not something that is a course or a discipline that can be separated from some. It is part of life. So from the family, from the mindset of raising children, be they boys or girls, we need to place technology as that enabler for life. And if we do that, I believe the guys or the males will not think it is strange for a female to be in that field. So even if that male becomes a leader tomorrow, his mindset from growing up has already been conditioned right. But for the females, it will be encouraging, right? So they are being introduced, they are being let to know that technology is a way of life for them. They shouldn't be intimidated by it. So they shouldn't be withdrawn or feel intimidated to pick courses that are technology heavy because they just know it's a way of life. So I think that's a great place to start. Coming into the workplace, Ashley did a great job mentioning what the companies can do, the kind of policies that will support. But if the pipeline is thin from the beginning, there's only so much you can do. So we start early, we get a rich pipeline. That pipeline is sustained deliberately through the stages of education. So what are we doing at the primary stage, at the secondary stage, up to the university? Are there scholarships? Are there scholarships not just for school fees, but scholarships that actually encourage female representation, that ensure are there funding being put into certain pillars of education to ensure that females are not discouraged in whatever way, right? Because the discouragement could come from the family. Sometimes you find environments where, because of limited funds, and this is still a reality today, funds for education is rationed, and the women don't get as much. So they tend to stay back while their brothers go to school, and that is a reality. So are there funds that are available from the private sector, from the public sector to encourage, celebrate, and ensure that females are sustained in the pipeline as they go through several stages of education? And then we come to recruitment. Are the recruitment policies such that they consider and ensure there is a fair playing ground? There usually is, like again, to testify in InterSwitch, we have quite a number of females. We actually have a lot more females in some fields. In management, I think at the time, it was almost 50-50 females versus males. And for a technology company, we thought that was quite laudable. For when it comes to our development, quality assurance, our head of data is a female. We have quite a lot of very strong female representation in our back office. Right, I was the head of operations at the time, running the back office. We have our current head of operations is a female, and we have females represented in a lot. Our head of product excellence is a female, for example. So if we build the pipeline right, the recruitment policies are right, the work policies are supportive, and give to Caesar what Caesar's, and you know what I mean, then we can sustain that. And it becomes not something we are doing out of CSR or saying, oh, there's one woman in 20, and that is not representation at all. That is just trying to, pay lip service, where it actually becomes regular, normal for you to see a reasonable representation. Like I said, one woman in a team of 20 is not diversity, that's loneliness, and you don't want that to be. So that's where I'll stop, but I'll rest by saying a lot of responsibility lies in the policies that govern what we call everyday work, be it in the corporate space or even in the entrepreneurship environments and ecosystems. What are those things that must continue to be done to sustain and encourage equity? I'll give a final one. In IntoSwitch, we just introduced something whereby when you go on maternity leave and you come back, your the cadre for promotion, the pass mark for promotion, if I can say pass mark, will be flexible if you went on maternity leave. Because what you find out is if you're going on maternity leave, likely your performance may not be at par because you are out of work for a long time, or you were maybe not feeling so well a period before you went your leave. So you find out that more or less promotion is not on the table for you that year. But we've done it such that doesn't mean you'll be automatically promoted, but you have a fair chance. And then it's a good one. And that's an encouraging one. That's just one example. So I hope I've responded right. I mean, responded sufficiently. Thank you. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that submission. It's quite it's quite loaded. Chidera, I know you have something to say on this.
Yes, thank you. I just want to say thank you to the other panelists. You've been amazing in shedding light to the conversation. And I believe everyone pretty much covered, the factors, the reasons why we have this misrepresentation among women. And currently, there is a research that says that women are currently adopting AI technology 25% less than men. So we're seeing that divide continually, even in emerging technologies. And like the other panelists rightly said, there are cultural norms, factors, work factors that actually contribute to this misrepresentation. And I would say, like I always say, AI is a leverage, and women can actually benefit from that leverage that AI creates because now we can't, you know, we, like one of the panelists said that she's in engineering and there are not a lot of women in that field. So we can't just keep saying, oh, we're not tech savvy or we're not into tech. Now AI cuts across different industries and you can use it literally as whatever you are, a mom at home, a director in the office, a content writer, a content creator. You can literally use AI to better your life or do better. Like I say, AI is a leverage that we can use to better version of ourselves. So the technology is there, and we need to start having more women create better solutions for women. That way, we'll be able to close that gap. We need to start thinking of ways to um, create solutions that speak to our own problems, and that way would be able to close in on the gap. And also, we won't talk about inclusivity without mentioning mentorship. So I believe women should have more mentorship programs, more shows, more talks, more conversations around women and technology. Just like today's event, we need to start having more conversations like this to show women that yes, there might not be a lot of women in tech related field, but we can still come in, we can still, create solutions, we can still create solutions that speak to problems. So, like I rightly said, women need to now start engaging more into using the technology. We need to start thinking of ways of how we can use the technology to build solutions that even speak to women's problems to be recognized. I was on a um, I was on a competition some weeks ago, and they were showcasing some solutions that so many new startups, young people were creating, and so many people were doing things around fintech, creating solutions around fintech, transportation. And there was one that stood out for me, even though it was a solution, but it was around something that affects women in general. So I believe those kind of solutions, we need to have more women offering those kind of solutions, building those kind of solutions. Around some lady, she partnered with this other guy, and they built an app where women in their first to, I think, third trimester in pregnancy can access the app and seek consultation or medical related um, ask related questions. And I even got to find out at the time that women have issues of accessing doctors or going for antenatal visits in public hospitals in their first, I think, first 3 or 4 months in their first trimester of pregnancy. And this is a problem because, during those progress or those process, the woman's body changes. There are certain things that changes in the woman's body, and you have to have a doctor speak to those issues. And when there's a gap in that, there will be issues. There's a huge high death rate among pregnant women because of these issues. So we need to start looking at how we can build solutions that speak to women's problems. We need to start having more women in tech-related fields speaking out, organizing conferences, meetups, however, however we want to design these partnerships or collaborations with, I would say the older generation and the younger generation. So we need to have more women speaking to the younger generation. More women now need to see women doing tech related things. And that way, a lot more females, a lot more women will be more comfortable to, be in the room, to think about how to use this technology to better future. So it's pretty much what we do. And also, like one of the panelists said, the laws that governs women in the workplace are able to speak to certain biological factors or biological issues that women face and protect women against those issues. So I'd say mentorship, collaboration is very, very important to bridge the gap. We need to start speaking to more women. We need to start letting more women, especially the younger generation, letting more women know that, okay, this is a new digital age. We've gone past the age of thinking that tech is just a male dominated field. Oh, tech is for men, engineering is for men, construction is for men. We need to start, having more women, more younger women know that, okay, you can actually do well in this tech related field. You don't need so much technology. And I always say that AI actually gives that leverage now because you can be in a social science related field and still be able to do certain tech related things, building websites, um, being a content creator, designing websites, creating user interfaces. So there's so many things that AI can actually give um, women leverage to do. So it's gone past now thinking, oh, I need some tech related um, background, or I need to be tech savvy, or I need to be, this honcho, I need to really be this tech person. AI has created that platform where you don't even need to be a coder, you don't need to be a programmer, you don't need to know, you don't need to know all those coding and programming languages. You can just actually interact with AI to build systems, build things without having any tech knowledge. And I believe with more awareness and more collaboration around more women, I feel like we'll be able to bridge that gap. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for that submission on diversity on teams, building platforms and products. But really, I appreciate the submissions because there were charges, there were, action point, call to action from parenting, that's starting from the basics, parenting. Then what also gets to me is the mindset, that there's a lot that needs to happen with respect to mindset. Because when the mind is actually re-engineered or reshaped, a lot can actually change, and not just for policy, from workplace recruitment to promotion to incentives to approvers to rewards at work. Not just that, more of these things, if they are being activated, if they are being looked at, and also the kind of tech that is being designed. I also appreciate the submission on when we have more women build technologies or tech products, a lot of other women will feel more comfortable, or the younger ones will be encouraged to get in it. My next question is actually on policies for organizations and the government, but quite a number of you have already touched on that. You have challenged the government on the type of policy to put forward. You have actually put forward on organizations what they need to do and how they need to encourage more female in the tech ecosystem, that are in different departments, to be involved, how you can reward them in the appraisal or reward system, how you can put them into consideration, getting their job done, and all that. So, quite a number of you have actually touched down on that. So, wrapping up, my question to everybody, just for to wrap up and for us to conclude on this with all submissions that have been put in place. This is basically on capacity. I know some of you have touched a little bit on it on capacity, but I still want us to look into it. Future of work has actually changed. It has evolved. It's not the usual. I study accounting. I must be an accountant. And I studied engineering. I must be an engineer. It's no longer that, because designations, submission for, because product and services to have evolved. So, what are those opportunities that exist for women and girls to lead in shaping the technology, the future of technology? And critically, how can we intentionally prepare the next generation of female innovators? I know Chidera touched on that a little, but I want to hear from everybody on this. So I would like to start from Ashley. Ashley, are you still there? Yeah. So Ashley,
Yes, yes, I'm still
what
here.
say you on this?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a great point. And I mentioned before that at Semicolon, one of the things we do is really training and capacity building. We train software engineers through our techpreneurship program. We do corporate training. We do a range. We work with innovators quite a bit, in partnership with some business schools as well. And so I think it's a good question. I think a few things. One is we everybody that goes through our training, even if they just think that they want to work as a software engineer, we still train, we still build a lot of skills in them in terms of being innovators and being proactive, being problem solvers. They all learn design thinking, they all do quite a bit of kind of personal effectiveness training and exercises to grow in that capacity, because I think that everybody can kind of focus their energy on being proactive, expanding their own sphere of influence in order to solve the problems around them. And oftentimes, this is partly because we believe that we can have a lot more homegrown solutions to local problems in Africa. There should be a lot more innovation, both within large companies like InterSwitch. InterSwitch has actually hired at least 10, maybe 20 software engineers that we've trained. We want those people obviously to carry out their tasks, but we also want them to be intrapreneurs, right? To be innovative within a larger corporate context. We also want people to be able to start businesses and grow them if they see an unsolved problem, which both solves local problems and grows prosperity for the economy. So that applies to all sorts of problems, including gender inclusion. I think that gender, when we see issues of inclusion or privilege, if we look at gender inclusion, for example, that's not just a problem for women to solve. In fact, men have more power in this situation, so men should also be very proactively involved in addressing that. And there are ways that can be done. People don't need to be you don't need to be a CEO, you don't need to be a manager, you don't even need to be a team lead to start addressing these problems around inclusion that we've talked about today. So I think, focusing on the mindset of proactivity, but also building our skills around influence, innovation, solving problems in new ways, and being an active change agent, I would say is what I would kind of leave the conversation with. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So I don't know. Okay, Madam Oremeyi, any submission on this?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Nothing particularly new, but yes, practical steps we can take. What some of the steps that we are already taking. Please, one sec. Some of the steps that we are already taking, like Ashley mentioned, I was excited when Ashley said that InterSwitch recruited about 10 of their developers. And those are some of the things that we like to do. Something else we do, as we all know, InterSwitch has this major, our CSR platform is InterSwitch Spark, which is a platform for secondary schools coming compete STEM subjects. Usually, for all the years, the 7 years, always a guy that wins. We've only had 1 year where a lady won. As we said, if the pipeline is not rich, there's not only so much you can do at the end, right? But something else we do, even though the ladies may not tend to make it to the end because there are not very many that start off in the first place because the schools don't send so many ladies to us. But then again, let's try to make the ones that get on the program exciting. So we do mentorships. There was a year we actually rewarded the ladies that were the last standing, even though they didn't get to the final point. We do that. What other opportunities exist for them what other opportunities exist for women and girls to lead in shaping the future of technology? I loved again what Ashley said about design thinking, training everyone to think from that perspective. And so if we are able to women, even though they don't, when you look at numbers in a sustainable system, women tend to be a very high percentage of adapters of technology that makes better life. So when it comes to financial apps, at the bottom of the pyramid, which were quite a number of people in Africa, or even middle class people, women tend to be early adapters. And if women, it's been shown and proven, if women latch on to a particular app, service or solution and believe in it and are able to tie a story around it, globally, it tends to be quite convincing. So women are a good target market. That alone shows that as apps are being built or solutions are being developed, I don't like to say apps because that's an end, a means to an end. As solutions are being developed, women are definitely should be one of the early or the one a subset, a major subset that is researched and considered, and their inputs, major inputs into the solutions for it to be long-term sustainable. And we deliberately do that as a customer experience expert as well. It's something that we have seen that makes sense and works, not just for B2C, but also for B2B products. So I would say women as a major source of research, women as a major source of target when it comes to early adoption and building stories, relatable stories around the lives of women driving it, using it, even around the lives of men, and how that generally is linked to the society, because the society is a balance of women and men. So those are three things I'll say, and I'll stop there for now. Thank you. Hello? Hello?
I can hear you. I
Yeah,
guess
I don't think.
Mochi, is Mochi around? Having a bit of technology issues.
I think she is. Wow. Mhm.
Mochi, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yeah, yeah. So if we can have more of such program like Spa,
Yes.
it will be very, very, very good. I know there are quite a number of programs, but I think we need more from the ground up. Um, I know Madam Fatima has something to add with respect to capacity, because we are rounding up and we are looking at capacity building.
Oh, okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for Ore and, of course, Ashley. I mean, all the programs that we're doing in existence, it's helping because once upon a time, we didn't have anyone. I mean, I remember coming to Africa with Microsoft and mostly being the only one in most of my meetings. But we've seen, growth. I mean, like Ori said, that we have more adoption of technology from women. We see that in Nigeria, I think we're about 46% of women adoption. We also see that the growth of women in technology, whether it is in the workplace or otherwise, is now in double digits. I think the last I looked at it is about 23 or 24%. We can do much more. We also see a lot more encouragement from parents about their girls going into the sciences and into technology. We see the jump from one career to the other into technology as well. So all of those things are pointing in the right trajectory. I think for me, when I sit back and take a look of how slowly we get into these functions or sector. What comes to mind is my male counterparts, what they do. So, being in the technology field for over 27 years now and seeing, I mean, we think that it's just, oh, because we're women. No, I mean, the men also had to start somewhere. They started before they got to where they are. So there's always a beginning. But what is the consistency that I see? The consistency that I see with men is not mentorship, it's sponsorship. Our male counterparts recommend their friends. They are aggressive in positioning those junior colleagues of theirs in positions of leadership. So the question to women is how assertive are we when it comes to recommendations? The other point that I want to ask us is how courageous are we when we know that some of our female counterparts are being pushed for certain things that really don't have the qualification for? Because remember, when you're underrepresented, you need to have the best of you show up. If you are not showing up your best, you have lost ground because credibility is eroded. So I've seen it in a few places where we do have some of the greatest people, but they're not in the positions that is available because, they just need a woman. So they get someone to get up there. And then, of course, it shows that we're not ready. So how many of us are courageous enough to say, oh, no, hold on 1 minute. You're not the one to go right now. We okay. We can wait for another year because we want to make sure that when we do show up, we show up. And our male counterparts are impressed, and the rest of the marketplaces, they are impressed to having us in that room. I've also seen that we have females that create their own tables. Funke Opeke. She came into the market, she knew there was a need, and she filled that need. How many of us are willing to do that? So I think we also have to take lessons. We don't have to create new things. We can see how it's worked across the lake, and we can adapt those things that works. So enough with the mentorship. I'm one of those people that believe that attitude is important in changing. When we come into a space and we want to be represented, we have to change our attitude. Nobody's going to be having to make everything easy for you to be able to succeed. The world does not have to bend backwards to make you comfortable at the table. People don't have to shrink for you to feel like you are now in the presence. You have to have the right attitude. And all of us women need to understand that. When we are in a situation of a minority role, we should appear, we should be very present, and we should be very ready. So something that Ora said was, are we building the right pipeline? Do we have the right people in that pipeline? And once we do have the right people in that pipeline, are we that are sitting at the table or have created a table are ready to sponsor them? Not mentorship, not come and cry to me about what your mom or your mother-in-law did or why your children didn't get to school early or why your husband didn't help you with the schoolwork for the kids. No, I'm talking about sponsorship, real sponsorship that gets us in the room and in front of the right people and doing the right things to influence the policies, to influence the architecture, to influence the inclusiveness for our girls that are coming after us, the ones that are even with us and the ones that are before us, because you never know when you got to come back. So that's my 2 cents. I don't think that we need to be creating anything new. We have enough examples that we can adopt, but we have to change our attitude to wanting to be successful and to wanting to be equal at the table. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that take on it. I don't know if Chidera has something to add to it before we wrap the panel session up.
Yes, thank you all for the insightful contributions. Well, in terms of opportunities for women, I would say there's so many opportunities that these technologies afford women. Um, we just need to, like the last speaker said, we need to cultivate the culture of independent learning, learning things on our own. Nobody's going to come and spoon feed you. Nobody's going to come and tell you, oh, this is how to make money or this is how to do this. You literally have to put yourself out there, be able to learn how to use certain tools, even in your workplace, even as a um, director, as an assistant, or whatever your work life is like. You can use these tools, these AI tools, to actually create opportunities for yourself in the workplace. Like I always say, it's not really the fear about the technology. We need to go past fearing the technology, or the downsides and whatever. We need to start looking at how we can benefit from using these technologies in our own daily lives. Women love automation. It's like the things we use in our homes to make life easy for us. We use refrigerators, we use air fryers, we use oven to make life easy for us. I mean, there was this lady I was watching on Instagram, heavily pregnant, but she was able to um, create content, do several other things in just a few minutes, and it was simply because she was using technology. She was using these things in the home, this time in the home, to make things easy for her. But I always say AI gives leverage to women, and we need to start looking at those opportunities that we can adopt from using AI. There's so many opportunities in terms of entrepreneurship. These tools can be used to create a side income or side hustle. For one, I know a lady who is into interior design. She does interior, and she makes apartments and spaces look beautiful. But since this AI content generation came up, she started a side hustle where she started generating AI animated videos online, and the page grew, and suddenly she started teaching people how to make those content as well. She was making money on the side. So we can actually use AI as a leverage to kind of boost our economic status, to boost our financial status, and also close the gap in in in, in misrepresentation that we're facing in the workplace. So I'd say we need to find and cultivate the habit of learning on our own. Yes, mentorship. We can seek as much mentorship as we like, but if we don't have that habit of learning, outsourcing information, or going about to find information independently, you might not really be able to adapt in the fast changing space, in the fast digital space. So we need to do all of that, and then create more rooms where women can come together comfortably without judgments or whatever, and then have discussions on how women at the table or at the forefront. People seek women with so many ideas and so many creativity. Because for once, I know there's so many women in the tech space that are currently doing so many things. There are a lot of women doing things in fintech and in other industries as well. So we need to start having to showcase more women that are doing things, and that way we would have more opportunities and we'll have more voice in society. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone on the panel. It's been a very insightful conversation, loaded, and I mean loaded with action points, charge to governments, institutions, private organizations, tech companies, from design to the product, capacity, safety, every aspect was quite dissected and dealt with. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for the insights. Thank you for the contribution. It's well appreciated. And I know the viewers have one or two things to actually take from this conversation. Um, I've checked for questions. There are no questions showing the questions were quite responded to by the panelists in a positive way. Um, I've learned quite a few number of things. That's with respect to workplace, reward and re-engineering yourself, your mindset. I've learned quite a number of, of things myself. So that is it for the panel session. A huge thank you to Madam Fatumatu, Fatumata, Madam Remy of Ashley of Semicolon, and of course Chidera of not just a game. They are ready to actually open our eyes to some of those things we are actually not paying attention to. And that's catching them young, parenting, and also products by women for women. We should have more of that. And also ethics. Ethics is very, very also crucial, of which they touched on. Thank you once again to all the panelists, and we appreciate your submission and your contribution. Dr. Oluwakemi is set for our goodwill message. I'll be bringing her in. But once again, thank you to the panelists for the contribution and the submission. Dr. Oluwakemi, I know you are set, you are ready for your own statement. Can we have you
Thank
on
you very much. Good
to
morning.
share your insight on give to gain?
Everybody, permit me to off my video so that because the network is not so good here. Our
Okay.
distinguished guest, am I audible?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, esteemed partners, progress, good day. Today we are not just gathered on a virtual platform. We're standing at the intersection of possibility and purpose because today is not just another day. It is a celebration of the International Women's Day 2026, a day to celebrate strength, a day to amplify voices, a day to remind the world that when women rise, societies rise. I bring you warm greetings from the Nigeria Women in Information Technology, NIWI. And before I go further, let me take a moment to sincerely appreciate the visionaries behind this gathering. So DigiVation Network, thank you for not just organizing an event, but for creating a platform for impact. A platform, a platform where voices are heard, where ideas are shared, and where the future is being shaped in real time. Please let us celebrate them. Because meaningful change does not just happen by chance, it happens by intentional action. And today is proof of that. Now, let me say this clearly and boldly that the future is digital, but the future must also be inclusive. Because what is innovation if it excludes half of humanity? What is progress if it leaves women behind? And what is a digital revolution if it is not driven by diverse minds? Today's thing says it all: give to gain, access, unlock, and build the digital future. Let me say it again: give to gain. Because when She does not just enter the room, she transforms opportunity. She does not just grow, she lifts others with her. And when you empower her to build, she does not just create solutions, she creates impact. But let us be very, very honest. The journey has not been equal. Too many women are still on the outside looking in. Too many brilliant minds waiting for chance, a chance to enter. Not because they lack potential, but because the system has not given them access. And that must change. That is why conversation like this matters. That is why this platform matters. And that is why you matter. Because the future we are building, especially in AI, in software, in digital innovation, must not be shaped. It must reflect diversity. It must eliminate bias. It must create inclusion. And this is why, after listening to the panel section, Future Females, Safe and Inclusive Tech in a high-speed digital world, I see that not as just a mere discussion, it is a movement. At Night Wit, we believe this deeply. Access, unlock potential, inclusion, fuel innovation. That is why recently at Night with Nigeria Women in Information Technology, we champion an initiative which we refer to as Night with Campus Tech Queen Initiative that was launched last month. And this is to empower our young ladies in tertiary institutions across Nigeria. What are we trying to do? We are trying to empower women to build nations. So today I challenge us all. Let us not just celebrate, let us commit. Commit to opening doors, commit to mentoring the next generation, commit to building safe spaces, commit to creating opportunities where none existed before. Because the truth is very, very simple. A world that empowers women in tech is a world that wins. So let us give more so we can gain more. Let us unlock more so that we together, let us build a digital future that is not only powerful, but inclusive, equitable, and unstoppable. To every woman listening to me today, this afternoon, you are not the future, you are the present, the very, very now. Therefore, rise, build, and lead. Happy International Women's Day celebration from the Nigeria Women in the Information Technology. I'm the president, Dr. Mrs. Oluwakemi Shade Ayodele. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Oluwakemi Ayodele, FNCS. She's the president of NIWIT, that's Nigeria Women in Information Technology, an interest group of Nigerian Computer Society. Thank you very much for that charge. You've energized us. After that engaging panel session, you've energized us, you've charged us that we are not the future but the present, and we should take it and do with it the appropriate way. Thank you, everyone, for joining in for this virtual session of DigiVation International Women's Day 2026 virtual session. It's been a great ride. Been a great journey. I had a great time. I don't know about you. Um, I've learned quite a number of things, and I know you have also learned quite a number of things. And you've heard what various organizations that are part of this conversation are doing to encourage the female folk, girls, in having knowledge, capacity, and confidence in information technology. And not just information technology, communication, information communication technology as well. Because at the moment, right now, whether we like it or not, we are now in the digital age, and hence we must actually be digital. For the panel session, we had such a great time. A lot was touched on safety and safety for women on the internet. A lot was touched on policy by government, and also organizations employing. And also, a lot was touched on ethics for technology companies designing these technology products that women are actually consuming. A lot was touched on capacity, from catch them young to even office laws encouraging reward and encouraging women that are now mothers to actually still have careers in technology. And we have a very, very wonderful keynote session that not only charged us that we should stand up and take the reins of the future of technology, not only in space management, but also in every other aspect of technology ecosystem. So a big thank you to um, Madam Ibiye Okoko of Nichcomsat for your time. A big thank you to Madam Oremeyi Aka of InterSwitch. A big thank you to Madam Fatuma Koka of FG Group Holdings. Thank you so much. A big thank you to Ashley of Semicolon, and a big thank you to Chidera of Hyperspace Limited. We say a big thank you to Internet Exchange Point of Nigeria as well. A big thank you to Nigeria Computer Society. We appreciate every one of you. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your contribution, your insights, and also the suggestions you brought to the table. But above all, the call to charge, the call to action you've actually put forward. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. See you next year for 2027 DigiVation IWD virtual session. I'm Mojisola Alabi from DigiVation Network saying bye and have a great day.